My name is Topher DeRosia, and I work for BigCommerce, and I'm the WordPress Developer Evangelist, which means specifically that I speak to developers as opposed to merchants or someone like that, and I educate fellow WordPress developers about BigCommerce and how it can help their clients.
Excellent. How long have you been doing that?
Just over 1 year. I started on July 17th, my birthday, and so I'm just a week into my second year here.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Yeah. And how many WordCamps have you been to where you've represented BigCommerce?
Oh boy, more than 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at least a couple a month.
Yeah. They sent me to Sydney, WordCamp Sydney, my third day on the job.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know. I was joking. We have an office there. I said to my boss, "I'm gonna have to go to Sydney, right?" He's like, "Yep, Tuesday." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I have a passport."
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh, that's great. And we saw you were at WordCamp EU also, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So you're all over the place talking about BigCommerce.
I went to WordCamp London. We have an office there as well. Oh. I met you in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
you're everywhere.
Getting around.
Yeah. But you've been involved with the WordPress community much longer than that.
Oh, yes.
How long have you been involved with the community?
Well, I started messing with WordPress in 2010, and we had a WordCamp in our own city of Grand Rapids in maybe 2012. And I did 2 or 3 WordCamps in Grand Rapids before I branched out to my first one outside, and that one was in Austin in 2013, I believe, or 14. I don't remember.
Okay. And did you start speaking at WordCamps pretty much right away, or did?
Yes, really? Particularly because with our home WordCamp, it was easy to get picked, as it were.
Sure.
So I spoke at our own right away. I did not speak at Austin, my first away one, but I enjoy speaking very much. I enjoy teaching, so yeah, I got into the circuit pretty quick.
Yeah. And you were involved with WordPress before you started working in the community as well, weren't you? You and I talked in
only
Phoenix.
A little bit.
Okay.
2010 is when I started actually building WordPress sites for clients.
Okay.
And our camp was in 2012. So there was 2 years there where I didn't even know about the community. Oh, wow. I was just working in my basement.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a struggle. I had been a professional PHP developer for more than 10 years. And so I really knew web development, but I didn't have anybody to ask, what is a hook? And if you don't know, it's not that easy to figure out. Especially back then, there was a lot less documentation.
Right.
So the community has always been valuable to me, and I wish I'd had it when I started. And so that's one of the reasons I like to teach, and particularly teach beginner type classes. I want to find people who are as stuck as I was.
Right.
And help.
Right. And what made you interested in working with BigCommerce?
Well, they found me. They were looking for a community person, but at the time I was unemployed. And for the last several jobs that I've gotten, I've wanted a job similar to this, where I go to WordCamps and I talk and I market and basically I was kind of looking to get out of development into marketing and sales. And I didn't really know that at the time. I just knew I wanted to go to WordCamps on somebody else's dime, really. But most places said, no, we can't afford to just send you to WordCamps all the time.
Sure.
And no one could.
Right.
That'll never happen.
Right.
And so last June, I was laying in bed. It was 10 o'clock at night, and I got a text from a friend in Sydney, where it was not 10 o'clock at night. It was the next day, actually. And he just said, hey, I'm having a meeting with this company, and they're looking to hire somebody to do WordPress marketing, and they mostly just go to WordCamps. Are you interested? And I said, absolutely.
Awesome.
And a week and a half later, I was working for BigCommerce.
Wow. Now, did BigCommerce have any, did they have any entry into the WordPress community at all at that point, or were you kind of the first one to drive that? Not
really. I was really the first one. They had sent 2 people to WordCamp London as attendees. And they were getting the lay of the land. They were starting to learn people. BigCommerce hired Modern Tribe and XWP to build our plugin. So from that angle, they had close ties to serious developers in the community,
Okay.
but not publicly, not
Gotcha.
not from a marketing standpoint. And so they were really looking for somebody that the community would trust. I mean, I've been to a lot of WordCamps and I know a lot of people, and I don't want to be puffed up or anything, but people know that I'm a pretty straight shooter. I'm not going to lead them on. So they were looking for somebody to go into the community and say, hey, this is the real deal. This is not a bull in a china shop trying to dictate what WordPress should be or anything like that.
Right.
And
you had your finger really on the pulse of the community. Can you tell me some more about HeroPress and how you started HeroPress?
Sure, yeah. So HeroPress is a collection of essays by people who have used WordPress to as a lever in their life to improve their life in a variety of ways. Handicapped people use it to be able to work from home. Single moms use it to be able to work from home and not have to put their kids in daycare. Older people on a second or third career. People in third world countries. They're now making the same as the rest of their village combined. I was talking to somebody from Yoast the other day, and they have an employee who works for Yoast, and he supports 27 family members.
Wow.
On his salary, comfortably.
Wow.
He's in Bangladesh. So it's essays from people like that saying, look, this worked for me, it can work for you. And the essays are intended to be to their peers, and they get to pick.
Yeah.
So somebody might write to their countrymen or to other blind people or to whatever and say, this is who I am, this is how I used WordPress, you can do the same, and it can help you out. So that started in 2014, I think. The owner of the company I was working for at the time, XWP, came to me and said, he sent me an email and said, I want you to do something special for WordPress. And that was it. That's all it said. So I sent him an email back. I said, what is it?
Yeah.
And he said, that's your journey to discover.
Wow. So it's really your journey that created this.
It really is. Yep. He really wanted a company. He wanted a product. But just organically it worked out that we were going to do something like TED with videos. Mm-hmm. So similar to what HeroPress is now, but I was going to travel around the world, do videos. I would spend a lot of money, take a lot of time, get maybe 3 or 4 essays a year, that sort of thing. And so we did a Kickstarter, and it failed. We didn't get it. We got some impressive donations from some exciting people, but we didn't get the total we needed. And so it was a wash. HeroPress died.
Wow.
And I got emails from people saying, please don't let this go. We need this thing. And so I thought, well, how can I was unemployed at the time. That was the end of my employment. And I thought, I don't have money, I don't have ability, I'm not a camera person.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So it occurred to me that a blog format would work well.
Sure.
The contributors can make the content themselves. They can just email it to me. I can turn it around in a day. We can do this once a week. Blogs are much easier to read on 3G in Southern India, stuff like that. So I just did it. And I've been doing it on my own ever since. India is kind of where it started, and I have a really strong following there.
Really?
Lots and lots and lots of Indians really love HeroPress.
Wow. How many stories do you have on HeroPress now?
Over 400.
Holy moly.
Yeah. My little Google map of pins is getting pretty full.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That is really great. So over 5 years, 400. So close to 75 a year?
That's one a week.
One a week. So you're putting out one a week.
Yeah. I think I've missed 2 weeks in the last 4.5 years. Wow.
That is crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you have some news with HeroPress that I saw over the past couple of weeks.
Yes. WordPress.org/news until now has really been nothing but release announcements, which are not news. They're boring. Nobody wants to go there. And so Matt Mullenweg tasked Josepha Hayden with getting better news. just go get some good news, make sure it happens there. And I was the first one she thought of. She came to me a couple of WordCamps ago and said, hey, what do you think we syndicate HeroPress on WordPress.org/news? And this last Friday, I think, was the first one.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, for that to happen.
Wow.
And so now they're doing once a month, they're doing a synopsis of one story to drive traffic back to HeroPress. Because there still isn't much more there other than release notes and now HeroPress.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want it to be, the HeroPress channel.
Right.
So
that's really exciting.
one a month is good.
And it's kind of your way of giving back to the community and encouraging
Absolutely,
growth.
yeah. And it has, there's 400 some articles on HeroPress. They're all my friends now.
Yeah.
And they're everywhere in the world. I mean, I have a big gaping hole in northeastern China, basically Siberia.
Yeah.
A little bit light in South America, but other than that, I have dozens of friends on every continent.
That is so cool.
And that helped facilitate getting this job that I have.
Yeah.
They needed somebody who was known and liked in the community, and
understood.
HeroPress built that.
Yeah, and you understand the community because you understand all
Right.
you hear all those stories
Right.
firsthand.
Yeah, and something really interesting is I don't just understand my local community or even just the U.S. community. I know what it's like. I've been to a WordCamp in India.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to have a culturally different WordCamp.
Right. Yeah.
So it's been a big thing. HeroPress has really changed my life in many, many ways.
Right. Yeah, I think it's changing not just your life, but the lives of so many other people who read those stories, who tell those stories. It really kind of speaks to the mission of WordPress of democratizing publishing.
Sure.
And helping people make those connections in the community. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I see now why BigCommerce said, we need to talk to Topher.
Yeah.
So BigCommerce before was, they're kind of like more like a Shopify, sort of a standalone.
Yeah, the business model is similar to Shopify.
Okay.
You go to the site, you pay your $30 a month, you have a store.
Right.
The blogging module in our platform has never been strong. And so we regularly get people saying, can I install WordPress inside BigCommerce?
Okay.
And that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so that was one of many reasons that we said we're going to leverage our API to make it so you can import your products into WordPress. So go the other direction.
Okay.
So now you can basically use BigCommerce as an inventory store, warehouse,
Sure.
and push your products out to multiple WordPress stores if you want. You can push them to Amazon and eBay and Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And all run off the same inventory. So if you sell out on Amazon, then it pulls it off your WordPress site or vice versa and that sort of thing.
Wow, that's really powerful.
It is. It's pretty cool.
So you can have a WordPress you can have multiple WordPress channels into which you're pushing products, but then there's also storefronts like Amazon and
Exactly.
eBay.
Yeah.
And wow, that's really powerful. So is this what you mean by headless e-commerce?
Similar, yes. The headless e-commerce basically just leverages our API.
Okay.
And doing that, you can build a store with anything. We put the money into building a plugin for WordPress.
Okay.
But we have a contract with Acquia. We're going to be the e-commerce of Drupal. We know of some 100% custom React stores out there in the wild. You could do something on mobile. You can do anything. It's headless. You write your own head for the store.
Okay.
But that makes it easy to change websites and keep your store.
Right.
So if you want to switch from WordPress to Drupal or vice versa, or something totally custom, you can, without messing with your customer base and your shipping stuff that you spent too many hours setting up.
Right, because if you're setting up a store and you have inventory and orders, and you kind of have to keep the history of all of that.
Sure, yeah.
Which is really important for taxes and accounting and all of that other scary stuff.
Yeah, and especially at scale, a lot of our larger stores have tight integrations on the back end with warehouse management software,
Sure,
and accounting software, and all these different integrations. And then you even get bigger and you start talking about international stores, and they have their tax plans all set up for multiple countries. That they do not want to rebuild that just because they wanted to switch from WordPress to Drupal or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh gosh, I didn't even think about taxation. Sales tax.
Taxes are a really big deal, and Avalara comes for free, or well, I don't want to say free. It comes with our plans, and they manage taxes all over the world. So you just tell them where you live and where you're going to ship, and they take care of it.
Wow. So if I'm starting a store and I'm thinking really long range, like a couple years down the road, I need to think about growth.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's why else have a store.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You want to grow and you want to scale because that's where profit comes in, right?
Right.
So BigCommerce is really giving you all the tools to scale.
Absolutely. Scale is a very important thing for us. We had, I mentioned there were many reasons why we built the WordPress plugin. One of them is that we had very large stores coming to us leaving WordPress because WooCommerce was failing them on a scale basis.
Okay.
The more successful a WooCommerce store is, the slower it gets. And when you become very successful and you're doing $1 million a month in sales, WooCommerce will kill you. And so they would come to us saying, we're going to leave WordPress because WooCommerce is dying. So now we're saying, stay on WordPress, keep your 9 years of SEO that you have built up, and that's a huge value.
Right.
You can make it look just like you did before. You can make it act just like you did before. But now all of the heavy lifting is on our end, and your site is fast again.
That's really powerful. And I think, would you say that would be the differentiator of what BigCommerce brings to sort of e-commerce, is that it gives you that kind of flexibility, or are there other differentiators?
There are a lot of differentiators. Having it be a SaaS is fundamentally different, and it brings many things that you don't necessarily even think about right away. We just talked about the speed. Once you import your products, it's just a custom post type.
Okay.
That's all there is to it. We have a little JavaScript cart. The checkout is an embedded iframe. And so that's on our end.
Okay.
So on your end, it's just not even a very heavy post type. It's really simple. It's really fast. And for WordPress developers, it's very normal.
Sure.
There's nothing crazy going on in there. It's just a post type with some metadata. But then we talk about security. Because there's no customer data stored on your WordPress server, none of your credit card data, none of your order history, none of that stuff is in WordPress. It's all on our servers.
Gotcha.
So if, God forbid, your WordPress gets hacked, they could temporarily deface your products, but recovering from that is so much easier. In fact, you could blow it away and restore from backup, reconnect your site to your store, and you're back in business.
Wow, that's really incredible. So all of that personally identifiable information that you need to protect as a storefront, there's PCI compliance, which is payment card industry DSS. I can't remember what that's.
Something important.
Data security solution, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, data security standard, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say that if you are handling PII, personally identifiable information, you have to, there are
rules.
Yes, and
Laws.
they scan your site in a different way if you're handling it. But if you're outsourcing the PII and outsourcing the actual checkout process, what a store owner has to go through in order to say, I am PCI compliant and have a credit card processing application there, it's much easier for them.
There's nothing. It's 100% on BigCommerce.
Okay, so you handle all of the transactions.
All the PCI stuff, yep. So, you go to a host and you look at their plans, and it's $15 a month, $30 a month, and it's $80 a month for the PCI compliant plan.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for just for PCI compliance anymore.
Sure. Okay.
You don't need that anymore.
Because BigCommerce is taking care of it.
BigCommerce is taking care of it.
Okay, so you still have to do a SSL certificate, and you still have to, do some things. It's not going to absolve you completely and totally, but it will make the actual PCI compliance part of it and making your credit card processing company happy much easier.
And these days, with Let's Encrypt being supported by most hosts, SSL is
it's easy.
It's a no-brainer now.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
From the old days.
Another differentiator is both number of plugins and price.
Okay.
We basically rolled everything into our plugin.
Okay.
So you don't have to go get 9 other plugins to round out your store. The average WooCommerce site costs about $1,000 a year in add-ons. And we charge $30 a month, which works out to be about $350 a year. And so we're 2/3 cheaper than the free version. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And then on top of that, you don't have a bunch of plugins.
Right.
You know, when there's an update, you update the one.
Yeah.
You're not hoping you don't have a clash between this third-party add-on that you bought and the latest version of this other third-party add-on you bought.
Right.
And things like that.
Interesting. Okay. Do you think there's other companies that are trying to do sort of this commerce service? I think Vendor Fuel is one of them that's trying to do that same type of way of doing commerce.
Sure.
Do you think more companies will come into that space, seeing the benefits that BigCommerce offers? Obviously, that you'll have more competition.
You mean companies offering API headless stuff?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
When we started ours, there were a couple already on the market. They were not getting real huge or anything, but they were there and people were using them.
Yeah.
But I really think headless is going to happen big.
Yeah.
There have been some articles in places like Fortune that wrote about how headless e-commerce is going to take over the world and mentioned us in passing because we're doing it.
Yeah.
But their real excitement is for the technology. Headless is the way.
Yeah.
We want to be on top of that way. But there are going to be other places that are getting into it.
Yeah.
Well, Shopify just announced that they're gonna start down that road.
Are they really? Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Because it's working for us. And
Gotcha.
Shopify wants to be like BigCommerce.
Yeah. There you go. You guys are trailblazers.
That's right.
Well, people are talking about like headless WordPress even. That WordPress becomes sort of that API place where it's handling APIs, but you have something else like Gatsby or something else in the browser that's actually making those types of calls. Yeah,
that's actually going to be really big for us as well. I mentioned there were some React-only implementations, so you can do this with 100% JavaScript. Right now, there are, a half a dozen static WordPress services or plugins or whatever. None of them can do any e-commerce.
Right.
None of the e-commerce platforms work because they all need a database.
Right.
Well, ours is really, really close. Zach Gordon has been working on it. He's really excited. He wants to do an entire course on Gatsby with e-commerce, with BigCommerce. And once it's done for one of them, they're going to share around.
Yeah.
Stratic with Miriam in Jerusalem, she's really excited. She's watching carefully.
Sure.
Because they want to offer e-commerce. They're a hosted static WordPress. And if they could just suddenly turn it on, that's really, really business changing for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I'm really interested in that front end. We're talking about like site speed and performance and things like that, and the fact that browsers are so much more powerful and JavaScript is so much more powerful than it's ever been before, and seeing some of these implementations that are coming, I don't think they're like, maybe not ready for prime time yet, but I'm seeing some sites that people, when I say not ready for prime time, not ready for everyone in the community to leverage, but as some of these developers like Zach and others are really pushing the envelope in the WordPress space, really excited to see what comes of it. And it sounds like you guys are positioned to be there too.
We are leading the charge.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting. I mean, I was surprised. We weren't quite sure who would be most excited. And I was surprised to learn that many of our current clients, especially the large ones, were some of the most excited because they have multiple brands.
Sure.
So they now they're not limited to one store. Previously, if you wanted more than one store, you paid for another store.
Yeah.
Well, now with WordPress, you can spin up as many as you want.
Yeah.
We've had people approach us and say, I'm going to spin up a 200 node multi-site with 200 stores. You know, what plan do I need? So these larger companies are now able to spin up micro stores just at the push of a button and say, I want a store for this brand and this brand and this brand, and we're going to run them for 6 months and see how community response is and pivot and all that.
Yeah.
So enterprise has been really excited about it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because now, talk to me about like performance of if I have a BigCommerce storefront.
Mm-hmm.
How fast is it? Because I'm like really interested in that now.
You talking on
like,
our traditional platform?
Well, let's say I have a
WordPress.
WordPress site. I don't have a ton of plugins. I have a very fast theme, and I want to leverage BigCommerce. How fast and how performant is it going to be?
Right. Your WordPress site only syncs with WordPress on a schedule that you set. So anywhere from 5 minutes to a month. Aside from that, the only time it ever talks to us is when you put something in your cart or take it out so that it updates inventory. Mm-hmm. So really, it's as fast as whatever your site is.
Okay.
I mean, if you have large images, it's going to be slow. You have the same problems making WordPress fast or slow that you would without our plugin.
Okay.
So you want your product images to be appropriately sized and compressed.
Sure.
You want the rest of your site not to be doing dumb things,
No 75 plugins. I can't do 75.
No 75 plugins. No pulling in weather data every 5 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what my history is like cleaning hacked sites, and so I've seen like a lot of like crazy installations.
Right. Yeah.
And I've always kind of had the mindset that if I'm doing commerce, whether it's WooCommerce or a cart that I've built or whatever, that goes in its own place. And commerce, you can feed other things into it, but commerce is kind of like keep it away from everything else because important things happen there.
Right.
And I've seen people like putting like LearnDash or LMS in the same WordPress install as a shopping cart, and then it just becomes this big behemoth, and it's like, well, yes, you can, but should you? So do you have any thoughts on that?
I always have and always will advise against having two systems that sell things on one site. So things like Paid Memberships Pro, any of the membership plugins, any of the LMS plugins, they have their own built-in shopping carts.
Sure.
They've got cookies flying around with data in them. At some point, there's going to be a collision with somebody else's cart.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So only use one system for selling on any given website.
Okay. It just keeps it cleaner.
Yeah. It gives me the chills thinking about the headaches of having two different plugins carts.
Right.
Probably both named cart,
Sure. And just sort of that functional isolation methodology and security of just like,
And even presentation. I mean, you have a cart in your menu, in your nav. Then you add another one. Well, which one did I just put my shirt in, and which one holds my class?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a horrible thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Was there anything I haven't asked about that you'd like to talk about?
WordCamps. I travel to a lot of WordCamps, and I would love to see anybody who wants to come find me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be in Denver next weekend, and I'll be in Sacramento, and maybe Sydney.
Wow. U.S. definitely.
Absolutely. I'll be at WordCamp US, and I would love to shake the hand of anybody who wants to come talk to me.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter, Topher1Kenobi. I'm on the Make WordPress Slack all the time. Yeah. So I'm very accessible. You can ask questions, all that kind of stuff. There's a couple more BigCommerce things that are of note. We offer 24/7 phone support. I don't know of any WordPress plugin that offers that of any genre. It's just that's just there. So there's 24/7 phone support. There's we have coaches available to you, e-commerce coaches.
So what do they teach? Like,
well,
version
if you're brand new to e-commerce, you can call them up and say, "What is this thing? What does it mean to sell online? How is that going to impact my brick and mortar?
Yeah.
How is it going to impact my family life? That kind of thing." And you can ask them and say, I've been selling in the U.S. for 10 years now and via e-commerce on BigCommerce, and now I'm thinking of selling in Canada. What does that mean? What do I have to do? What laws do I need to go learn? All that kind of stuff. So there are people available to help, just generally.
Wow, that's great. That's really important because, we're kind of all in this together. And that community shows that, when people come to these WordCamps so that they can learn, so that they can teach what they know.
Yep.
There's that exchange of knowledge, and so that they can connect, and to see a company that has that kind of commitment to support, that I think that just underscores the commitment to the people who are using your product. And I think that's great. WordFence tries to do that too. We big on support.
I came into this job as a WordPresser.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about BigCommerce when they approached me. And so my heart is with the community. My love is for WordPress.
Yeah.
And I only took this job because I saw that also in them.
That's awesome.
The people in charge, not everybody at the company knows WordPress. It's a big company. But the people who were in charge of this project were like, we want to help WordPress. They specifically said to me, we are not here to kill WooCommerce. We are here to help those people who are scaling out of WooCommerce.
Sure.
And not leave WordPress. We're trying to help people stay in WordPress and build the community larger. They're paying me to go to WordCamps, not just to preach about BigCommerce, but to speak.
Yeah.
My topic at this one was the Transients API, which has nothing to do with BigCommerce. But I changed the direction of some developers yesterday, and that's a big thing, Awesome. So I've been really, really, really happy with how they have cared for the community as much as I have.
That's awesome. That's great, and that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Well, Topher, thank you for sitting down with me and telling. I learned so much. Stuff I didn't think I was going to learn, so thank you so
I'm glad.
much.